Well, such questions put brakes on your mental process. And I am unable to recall something that profound because I tend to forget. And we are told to forget whatsoever you do, especially when you do something good, you forget. Remember all the bad things you do so that you don't repeat them. So since the training has been like that, I don't remember any compassionate act that performed. And to remember your compassionate acts will also amount or tantamount to egoism. In my training, I felt like that. But when I do observe certain things from a third person's perspective, my professional career, and often my patients used to come back after they would feel healthier. They would come back and convey a word of thanks and say, "You are the most compassionate person we have ever met." This has been a regular comments day after day. And I say, why would you say such a thing? Anybody else can also give you the similar health care. He said, no. The way you take prescription, the way you greet us, the way you hand over and make us understand how to take medicine. And when I am unable to come to fill my prescription, you send somebody to pick up the prescription and also drop it back at no cost. How many human beings would do such a thing? So this is a compassionate heart, I think, moves. It is impelled, or it cannot but act only. If compassionate heart puts a brake and say, let me think about it, then you have missed the moment of serving someone who really, really deserves. Any act of compassion, as we postpone, can be very tragic in our lives. For example, if you are a doctor and you are driving, all of a sudden you see an old man or an old woman who has fallen by the road and bleeding. But you are driving away, rushing, going back to hospital. Of course, you are treating a patient in the hospital also. Next day you hear that on such and such a road, at such and such a time, at such and such a place, someone died. You as a doctor, when you hear this news in TV or read it in newspaper, you recall that I was passing by that place at that time when this person had an accident. A true human being would cry his heart out and say, why couldn't I stop myself and attend to that patient as well? So, such acts burdens our heart for a very long time. Perhaps we can never forget such moments. Imagine if that was your mother and you could not look after her. Imagine the amount of burden that you would carry. I give you another example, something that we were supposed to do as children, study well. And because of 1 mark, you lost admission in the college of your choice. Then you would regret so much, I wish I had done better preparation. Some older people, past 60s, whose parents are no more. But when they reflect on their life and say, oh, I could have done this for my father, I could have done this for my mother, I could have said sorry for troubling you, and now they are not there. See, postponing and allowing your compassion to flow through and become an act of kindness. If you had to say sorry, Say sorry, apologize. That is also an act of kindness. Postponing an event that can hurt someone, postponing your words that could hurt someone, these are all acts of kindness. So compassion, I think, can go long, long way. If only we listen to our heart and make it actionable, act. No point harboring in your heart and say, oh, I love this person. Postponing to say, I love you also is an act of unkindness. Many people do regret, oh, I had an opportunity, I could have said something, but because of my shyness, because of whatsoever be the reason, you are not able to express yourself. Express. Don't hold it in your heart. At least you have let it out. And I am sure most of you are in the same boat as many people who regret later on. So don't let the regret settle in. That is also a compassion towards yourself. And especially in our Indian society, this remains as a stigma. No one is able to tolerate relationships. Oh, he's bachelor. Why are they having relationships? Well, I'll drift the topic a little bit. I don't know if you have received the first chapter of my book, which is coming up in September, Wisdom Bridge. Did you all receive the first chapter? Not yet. Okay. It is, I would like to have your remarks. Please read it before you leave. It's just one chapter I'm sharing with you all. It tells you all about relationships. Okay. Thank you. We move on to next question.
Thank you for that. I think from what I took away was, just aspire to be far more compassionate, express ourselves in those moments, and like you said, make this a way of being through small acts. You don't always have to make very big acts of kindness. Just every day, day-to-day things that we interact with people, we should make it and integrate it as part of our lives. So thank you for that. I hope, we all can integrate that into our life. I think the second question, Daaji, I had for you was, during COVID, we saw people opening up their hearts, their homes, going out of the way to help people, even unknown people. For the first time, people actually knew who their neighbors were because of COVID. And of course, Heartfulness did its bit during that time. But this sense of belonging and compassion that was created amongst us during that time of tragedy is almost, again, we're coming back to status quo. And so what is your message for the youth to keep this kindness alive as we even go into some sort of normalcy? Can I request everyone to just settle down, please? Please बैठ जाइए. Thank you. Can everyone please settle down? Can you just sit down, everyone? Thank you so much.
Talking of sympathy, empathy, compassion, and kindness, these are the general steps, emotional steps we go through. But when the external circumstances like COVID, for example, if they push us in being kind, being open, should nature provide us such circumstances so that we become better in helping others? No. Whether COVID-like situation be there or not, whether difficulties are there or not, it is up to us to keep our hearts open, help out those if you can. If you don't have the ability to help others, it's better to sit quiet and don't create problems. I am a bit troubled by the sound and noise in the back.
Request all of you to please settle down because it's disturbing Daaji. We're not able to have a flow of conversation, and I'm sure you're all here to listen to him. So if you could just take a couple of minutes to just sit down and settle down, please, it will be really helpful, and I personally will be very grateful to you all. Please, सब लोग बैठ जाइए.
है तो आपको छुट्टी है, आप जा सकते हैं यहाँ से. Please be kind and leave the place if you are going to make noise. So in the morning I was sharing with you that how all these things are energies of some sort. Like love is an energy, anger is also an energy. Compassion, sympathy, kindness, they are also forms of energies. For example, what happens to the flow of energy when you are compassionate? What happens to the flow of energy when you are passionate? Try to understand the difference. When you are passionate, overwhelmed by sensual desires, you want to take advantage of the other person. That is passion. In compassion, the flow of energy will be in such a way that you would like to sacrifice your life for the sake of others. That is compassion. And all these things happens not because there is an ulterior motive. In a saint person, in a saintly person, in a sattvic person, such acts of kindness, they just happen automatically. Energy is always moving upward towards serving. And this is possible when we transcend all kinds of desires. You are no longer greedy about something. You are no longer trying to prove yourself that you are better or you are worse. Nothing of that sort. When you yourself become desire-free, energy will move as needed. If you have to become angry, that anger is necessary for that moment, for a constructive outcome of that moment. Sometimes you may not bite someone, but it's better to show your teeth. Once I had a heart-wrenching email from one sister. They had 3 children, husband and wife. Her life was miserable. Husband was always threatening that I will leave you and the family. And both of them, the entire family was settled in United States. So help in other foreign countries was not there, especially when it came to relatives. So she ended up writing to me, what to do under these circumstances. I said, please don't divorce him. But you tell him you would like to divorce him. You understand the difference? You are threatening. And if that doesn't work, if you remain continuously being under abuse, bring in parents, either yours or his, with the proof. And if that too also does not work, keep the proof ready and call the police. So we have to try with the minimal damage. Okay, I scared that person, I'm going to divorce you. This is about the extreme cases where families are undergoing lots and lots of troubles. There are times where in relationships, you want to blame the other person for the failure of relationship. You want a divorce, but you don't want it to be called or be labeled that you are the cause of divorce. So you create such circumstances that the other person has no other choice but to divorce. These are really, really terrible things, where you are making the other person helpless. It is best to declare, I don't want to remain in this relationship. Modern days are filled with so many miseries, especially relationships breaking more so ever than any time in the history of India. Some people do argue that though many families used to live together, but they were being taken advantage of, and no one had the courage to leave each other because of the social stigma. Maybe right, maybe wrong. But through thick and thin, they raised a family. There were sad moments, of course, and there were happier moments as well. Whether you are having love marriage or arranged marriage, problems will always be there. Take it from a married man. It will always be there. The wisdom is how you put up with it, how you respond to every situation in a positive way. Sometimes problems, we can laugh it out. She curses you or he curses you, smile at it and move on. Don't take it too seriously. The other person you're going to build relationship with is not going to be an angel. There are no angels in this world. Are you perfect yourself? And so is the other person. Put up as long as you can. Accept it. Try to find solution together. And if that still doesn't work out, then of course you can always say, I did my best.
You all can settle down. I think it's much better. So please stay in your seats. Now we're just going to open up the questions to the youth, Daaji. So we have Bansi from Netherlands who's going to ask you the first question.
Pranams, Daaji. Daaji, what if your heart says something, but that does not resonate with family? This morning, you mentioned about empathy, putting yourself in someone else's shoes. And the perspectives are always different, and it leads to confusion. What can be done in this situation?
One has to really, really know what heart is saying. Whether it's your heart speaking or your desire saying. That's all. When you are driven by desires, you will always, as they say in medical terminology, wrong diagnosis. You understand it as if it's your heart's signal. The very fact that the question arises means heart has flagged the question as a red. Don't do it. It has nothing to do with others. Are you yourself convinced of your action? And as I said in the morning, before you act on anything, think that what happens if my granddaughter or grandson does the same thing? Would you accept that? Next question, please.
We also have Daaji Marin, who's from France. She also has a question for you.
Namaste, Daaji. How to deal with eco-anxiety, which refers to the chronic fear of environmental disaster, loss of biodiversity, climate change, death of the oceans, depletion of natural resources, which leads to...
Just talk a little more slowly, or why don't you tell me your question? Not able to catch what you're saying.
Okay.
Daaji, she basically has a question on how can we be far more kind towards nature and ecology, because there's so much happening in the world around sustainability. So how can we be more kind towards the environment?
No, it's not to be kind, it's how to deal with eco-anxiety.
How to deal with eco-anxiety.
It's the fear of chronic...
How to deal with eco-anxiety means what's happening with environment, with the health of the Mother Earth. Is it right? Okay. What can you do as a single person? Do whatever you can. If you can plant one tree, plant one tree. If you can pick up one plastic bag and throw it in a proper place, little by little. If everyone does it, it will be wonderful. If nothing else, at least pray. And we have a beautiful suggestion, prayerful suggestion in Heartfulness way. Then when you are doing nothing at all, you're just sitting simply in your room and you have nothing else to do. What should one do? How we can contribute to world peace, to the universal peace. Hindus, they talk about not just Desha Shanti or Shanti on this planet, but Vishwa Shanti, means universal peace. And to this effect, we have very simple prayers from Vedas. These are prayers, but we have to make them with sankalpa. कि सभी चीज़ों में, पत्तों में, आकाश में, पृथ्वी पर, जल में, जो भी चीज़ हमारी आंखों से दिखाई देती है, सुनाई देती है, उस सब में ईश्वर है और सभी चीज़ ईश्वर के स्मरण में खोई हुई है. Meaning, imagine that everything around you, when you are doing nothing else at all, and you are alone in your room, think that everything's around you, surrounding you, the ceiling of your room, the sky, the trees, the birds, they're absorbed in the remembrance of the God. This itself will create a very special vibrations, special atmosphere. And you, with your own sankalpa, will be able to create a very unique atmosphere, if not in the world, at least in your room, in your family, in your community. Thank you.
Agency to make our environment much better with meditation. Daaji, we have Ahmed, who's from Afghanistan. He's here for the youth seminar. He has a question for you as well.
Hello, good evening, respected sir, and good evening to all of you. Hope all of you are doing well. This is Ahmed Zubair from Afghanistan, studying at Osmania University, Hyderabad. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to ask a question. Sir, respected sir, my question is about what are the greatest life. Okay. Okay. Oh. What are the greatest life lessons taught by meditation? Lesson?
Well, if I say something that this is the greatest lesson one can learn from meditation, it will not be proper. Each one learns his own lesson. Follow your heart, see what appeals to your heart. Someone has learned something that, oh, love is important. That person will follow that. That's what they need at that moment. Some person needs a lot of solace, a lot of compassion at that moment. So in meditation, through transmission, we provide that. For example, suppose I give a physiological example. With this transmission that we use in meditation, it is very unique. With Sankalpa, let us see if a person has high blood pressure. Through prayer and through transmission, we are able to bring it down. But suppose a person has very low blood pressure. It is the same transmission, but your Sankalpa will be, your thought would be, please make it normal, to raise it. So, what is needed at a moment is given. If certain state of mind is required to pass through, that is provided. If a lazy person is there, it is good to put a fire under his bottom so that he would act. Right? If you give such a lazy person a dose of transmission and make him more peaceful, that will not do. We have to make him very stressful so that he would get up and perform his responsibilities better. So, meditation, it's a fine tuner. It tunes you for the moment to do the rightful thing. Okay. Thank you. You have a nice question.
The next question is by Ashika.
Namaste, Daaji. So the question is, at every step in our lives, we all have to make various choices, and at times other people decide for us. So I would like to know, what is the true meaning of freedom of choice?
Meaning of freedom, and should other persons be involved in making choices for us. Only freedom we have, according to my Guruji, is the freedom to do what is right. That's the only freedom we have. Even God cannot give you the freedom to do wrong things, though He is God. And God cannot prevent you from doing what is right. All these questions come to our mind because of the conflict we have, differences of opinions we have with the people whom we are consulting for making the decision. If you are asking a question or you're consulting someone in a bus or a train, their opinion may not matter much. But when you ask your mother, when you ask your father, then their opinions matter a lot, because then you want to make them happy as well. You love someone, for example, and father or mother finds out that he belongs or she belongs to a different caste, or that person doesn't have the same social status as yours. Many problems can arise. But for you, you love that person. In your heart of hearts, you have decided to marry this person. Now, these are the difficult situations. Whom to make happy? Some families go to the extent of, beta, if you do this, please do not return home. Consider us, your parents, as dead. They blackmail you like that as well. So many questions I don't think one can answer with yes or no. We have to weigh each situation and see under what situation. But if you make such a strong decision as far as marriage is concerned, go with your own feelings of your heart, that yes, I have to marry this person, and you marry that person. If you don't, then imagine the consequences. You will not be happy. The person who marries you also you will not be able to make the other person happy. Person who did not marry you, could not marry you, also is unhappy. And whosoever that person marries is also unhappy. So there is a huge chain reaction of unhappiness. It is better that two persons remain unhappy, your parents. They have decided already that whatsoever you choose will be wrong. But they may be right also. We don't know, as I was saying. Each situation is different. They understand your idiosyncrasies so well. They have changed your diapers, they have changed you from the moment you were born, every single day. They know your laughter, they know your smiles. They know everything that you need. So, listen to them also, very carefully, and then make a decision. Thank you. Last question, please.
Pranam Daaji. My name is Mohit and I am from the Jaipur Center. My question is on the behalf of all of us present here, that a lot of times we know the fact that our parents love us so much, and because of that love, that care, there's a sense of control that we feel over us, which is not letting us take our independent decisions. Because of such clashes, there is sort of a friction between the relationship of a parent and a kid. So how do you think we as kids should handle that situation, and at the same time, what would you suggest the parents to do in such situations?
अब बोलो क्या बोल गया वो?
Sir, Daaji, वो ये बोल रहे हैं कि whenever there is a conversation between parents, the kids want to do a certain thing and they understand that the parents want the best thing for them, but that also comes from a lot of control. You know, parents want to control, so they want you to do whatever they want you to do, and kids want to do what they think is right for them. So what is your advice for the youth to deal with that situation, and what is your advice for the parents so that they obviously control their children less or give them more freedom of choice or doing whatever they want? And this is something that we have been hearing a lot. There's this constant tussle between parents and kids around, control, and also a sense of suffocation because kids are not being able to do, study for 17 hours, don't do this, don't do that. So his question to you is, what is your advice for the youth and what's your advice for the parents?
Is this for studies or for business or something
The
else?
special context for studies or for
Either be it for studies or business, like anything.
Well. I come from a generation rather. In my generation time also people had problem with parents. Luckily, I did not have any problem. I still do adore my parents. There were moments when father would wish things to happen in certain way, I had different ideas. What did I do? This is totally my choice of making decision, but I listened to my father. I have always listened to them, and I'll continue listening to them. Even when I know I'm going to lose, even when I know it is not to my best interest, even when I know it's going to pain in my heart, but I have always listened to them. It's better I get hurt than they getting hurt. Simple? Thank you. Good night. So tomorrow we have one more second day session. It will be exciting as we move forward. And the great Ricky Cage is also here for tomorrow evening's entertainment. And I'm anxiously waiting for it. Many of you, I would personally request, maintain silence in your heart, even while you are talking. You can talk, but retain the calmness and poised state of your heart. Don't be in any rush. Don't try to prove anything. You are here for a special purpose. Take this opportunity so that life can move forward with a better attitude towards life. We are not here to give you lots and lots of information. I would like you to go back as a wiser individual, more sane, more capable of making day-to-day decisions, and lead a very purposeful and happier life. Spread peace, spread compassion, spread kindness. Kindness is also, while considering how your very presence in a room can affect the environment. You know, there are some individuals who barge in the room, bang, and door opens up, and it's like the storm has come in your room. In order to understand kindness and compassion better, try to understand what is unkind. Think of that moment when somebody else was unkind to you. Would you be unkind to others? People blame today's youth. No, but I find today's youth is far more excellent than my times. Whenever I talked about meditation in my times, in 1976, people used to laugh. It's a dream thing to see so many of you who are here to try at least and meditate. It was very difficult times. So, please take advantage of this moment, sit quietly, reflect within, interiorize. Interiorize means to go deep within yourself, as deep as possible. You can harvest the pearls, the diamonds, by going very deep in your consciousness. Heartfulness practice is all about how to reach the deepest level of consciousness in a very natural way. Many rishis, many sages, they did tapasya for years and months together, but they could not attain such states of samadhis which we are experiencing today, even on the first trial. Consider yourself. We all are so fortunate to have such a guide who is guiding us through transmission. And each time you have a question, put that question just before you go to sleep. and see how it gets answered by the time you wake up in the morning. Thank you. Thank you all. Good night, everyone.
So requesting all to please sleep at 10. Daaji has specially requested all the youth to sleep sharp at 10 p.m. tonight. So kindly sleep. If we see students around the campus, the security guards will be around. So I request all of you to please sleep at 10 p.m. sharp. And let's catch up in the morning at 6:30 for yoga session. Maybe 6:15, 6:20 if you all can reach. It will be good. Thank you so much for being wonderful audience. See you all tomorrow. Good night. Take care.